Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Sanders, and today I want to talk about good news. Yes, good news coming from the Huffington Post. They don't often talk about good news. Yes, the Huffington Post, kind of a mess, but today they have good news. So, Joe Manchin agrees to a sweeping legislation that would raise taxes on the wealthy and invest in climate change. Haha! The proposed legislation called the Inflation Reduction Act will raise taxes on the wealthy to fund investments in climate and healthcare. Yes, we need to not burn up alive and we need to be healthy. Ha! Who knew? Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat from West Virginia, said Wednesday he's reached a deal with the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on a sweeping $740 billion package to increase taxes on the wealthy and invest in climate and health care while also reducing the deficit. The agreement, now dubbed the Inflation Reduction Act, has the blessing of the White House and rescues much of the Democratic domestic policy agenda from the trash heap that Manchin put it in several weeks back. Well, literally, it was like last year. Basically, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema said, "Oh, made a deal with the left wing Democrats and said, well, if you support the infrastructure bill, we will support the Build Back Better plan." And the left wing Democrats kept their end of the bargain. And then uh, the Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema said, "Oh, nope, we're not going to support the Build Back Better plan." I was like, I could I could see that coming from a mile away. I mean, any idiot could see that coming from a mile away. Any idiot did see that coming from a mile away because I'm an idiot and I saw that coming. So rather than risking inflation with trillions in new spending, the bill will cut inflation. Ugh. This bill will cut the inflation taxes Americans are paying, lower the cost of health insurance and prescription drugs, and ensure our country invests in energy security and climate change solutions. We need to remain a global superpower through innovation rather than elimination, Manchin said in a lengthy statement. The deal took Washington by surprise. Manchin has been at home in West Virginia recovering from COVID 19. Democrats seemed set to accept a smaller healthcare focused offer from Manchin on Wednesday night. Republicans were seething over the deal's timing while Democrats scrambled to figure out its contents. So so basically Joe Manchin caused this problem in the first place and now he's trying to clean it up now that um, everything's a hot mess for everybody. Like the economy's in shambles because we didn't invest in it properly. We didn't invest in people. We didn't collect enough taxes on the wealthiest Americans so that we could make the necessary investments we need going forward so we can have the best, most productive workers in the world and that we can live in a society where we're not negatively impacting the climate. So, so, um, so of course, Cinema, she's like, I want my attention too. And she's like, okay, well, she's like, I got to read the bill first, which makes sense to me. Always read the bill first. Um, so let's see what is in, let's see where they talk about what's in the bill. So they're in a hurry to pass it before the end of the session or before they go on vacation. I don't understand why. Like I get it, everybody needs a vacation, but they take a lot of vacations. Like the average American, we're lucky if we get a month off in a year. Uh, Politicians, they are they're never at work. They're always every other week, every other month, they taking 40 days off here and there. I'm like, I don't know. When do you guys work? In any case, the final text of the legislation is not yet available. Schumer and Manchin outlined the broad strokes of the agreement. The proposal would raise $740 billion by instituting a 15% minimum corporate tax rate, beefing up the Internal Revenue Service's enforcement of tax laws on the ultra wealthy, narrowing the carried interest loophole, which allows hedge fund managers and other wealthy investors to pay lower taxes, and requiring Medicare to negotiate the prices of some drugs directly with manufacturers, leveraging the Social Security insurance program's massive buying power to wring savings from drug makers. It spends a historic $369 billion on energy security and climate change, which Democrats say will be enough to cut through the climate emissions in the United States by 40% before 2030, puts $64 billion towards extending subsidies for the Affordable Care Act for 3 years, only 3 years. I mean, why not just extend it indefinitely? But okay. The remaining $300 billion will go towards reducing the deficit, a priority for Manchin. God, these deficit hawks are really like we're in a recession. Like they didn't complain about the deficit when they were lowering taxes on people in the first place. So yeah. So in any case, oh yeah, then it goes. Here's where they talk about Christian cinema. Then it goes on to talk about Josh Gottheimer's going to use this opportunity to make it his moment to complain about the salt tax. I'm like so over it. Like, look, man, I agree with the salt tax being the salt loop, the salt tax loophole being restored only because it encourages states and localities to be financially self sufficient. That is why I agree with restoring it. But otherwise, this isn't the time for this. Let's pass what's here and then we can come back and deal with that next time. That's my take on it. So, will Gottheimer and all those other New York and New Jersey Democrats complaining that they don't have that extra nickel, please sit down. um, so, of course, it goes into more Republicans complaining, like John Cornyn from Texas. Please, he ain't going to do anything. That's the problem with Republicans. They never do anything. And what they do is usually bad, or it ends up being bad later. Um, in any case, okay. So, yeah. So basically, this is good news. And let's hope they pass it. Pass it. Everybody come back to Congress and pass this legislation so we can cut the inflation and save the climate, or take steps towards saving the climate. This is a start. It's tiny. It's just a little bit, but it's a start. Let's get this thing passed ASAP. All right. Let me know what you think in the comments. You know, I'm always interested to hear people's ideas or read them on in the YouTube comments, whatever. All right. Let's make it a great day. Bye.